Okay. Infrastructure and the drought. What is the city of Santa Clarita doing to mitigate the current and future drought problem? Anybody got a hint or a guess? You guys are pretty smart. I like you. Surprise. California has experienced a drought in the past. Now, this is an interesting chart, okay? Because, you would think that this chart would be arranged for more water goes up and less water goes down, but this chart is organized a different way. It's organized in more drought goes up, less drought goes down. So what was interesting about this whole chart was that we were talking about what are droughts like in Santa Clarita. And this over here, way over here at the end, right around 2000, this is probably the last time that we did, that we had watering restrictions. Because for the most part, this whole area has been pretty drought-free for a very long time. But you can see that in the past, if we go back there were periods of much worse drought than we're experiencing today. So anybody wants to say that things are just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, that's not true. But they're bad enough to where I would have thought that if we had serious leaders, this drought here probably was before the city was a city, that if we had serious leaders back here, and the city is now a city, we would be doing something. Why haven't we been doing something? It's not Santa Clarita's first drought. I can guarantee you it's not going to be our last drought. Why aren't we better prepared? Good question. I'm frustrated. How about you? We're in the 4th year of the current drought. And why don't our elected officials do something? Nothing. You're right. They have done nothing. They put purple pipe in the ground where there's no place to hook it up. Kind of like taking your hose out and throwing it in the middle of the street and expecting water to come out of it. Say, look what I'm doing. I'm saving stuff. I've gone several times to the city council and said, hey, why don't we get something going? Why don't we do something about recycling water? You guys are also our sanitation district members. Why aren't you forcing this to happen? And the answer is, oh, well. And this was Bob Keller's answer. We got a lot of smart people working on this. They're all planning us really doing a really brave job. But you know what? If plans and paper solved the problem, we'd be sitting pretty right now. So why is the state, and why is the state sitting on its hands? We've got so many regulatory agencies now, and it's partly our own fault, that nothing seems to be able to get done, even simple stuff. How many people have lived here for more than 10 years? Driven up Bouquet, past the Oaks, right? That creek has been running for how long? How many years, right? How many years? And I got to tell you what, I remember riding motorcycles up there in the 80s, and the water was coming over the street because the creek was overflowing anyway, and nobody cared. And now all of a sudden someone said, oh, my God, there's water going across the road. We better shut down the water, right? And the people at the bottom of that creek in Texas Canyon and those areas, their wells are going dry because there's no water coming down. And we've had state, we have federal elected officials, we've had and there's always some reason why we can't do it. Because there's another regulatory agency that says, no, it can't be done. So we're in a position where we're really sitting on our hands. You mentioned CLWA. Leasing the property at Central Park for $1. If they didn't lease it for $1, they'd have to give it up. Remember, that property was taken by eminent domain. And when it's taken by eminent domain, part of the deal is that if you stop using it for the public benefit, you've got to give it up. They didn't want to give it up, so they leased it to the city for $1. That's why we're getting it. So it's very interesting. But our community members are taking this seriously, even though we know Even though I'm really quite amazed by the way that our citizenry takes this stuff to heart. Even though we know that conserving 25% of the water is only 5% of the total water use in the state, and is not going to conserve us out of the problem, people are taking it seriously and they're conserving water. While and to me, I almost wonder if our state officials are so interested in that because they want to provide the illusion that we're actually doing something that's actually going to benefit us, when the answers are sitting there right in front of us and no one wants to do anything. So we're being bombarded with ideas that do little to solve the problem, while meaningful stuff doesn't happen. So let's look at some examples. I mean, I might as well share my frustration with you people. I mean, because you're nice people, you know. I like you guys. So what happens right here? On August the 13th, we get an article from the Associated Press. Now here's going to solve our problems. Let's use lower flow shower heads. We'll reduce them to 1.8 gallons a minute because some idiot at the National Resource Defense Council policy analyst says, oh, they'll be as good as the ones that we already have. I want to ask a question. How many of you knocked the restrictors out of those things today? Right? And you get them and you knock the restrictors out so that you actually have a shower head that works. Is that going to solve anything, really? No. So they're going to take, and they're going to set new standards for low-flow bathroom and kitchen faucets. Reduce the bathroom faucets to 1.2 gallons per minute. I don't think that's going to make much difference to when I brush my teeth. But the kitchen faucets are 1.8 gallons per minute. So when you have to fill your sink to do the dishes, it'll just take longer, right? But it's not going to take any less water. Okay. And then, of course, there are the rebates to replace grass lawns with drought-tolerant plants. It can be about $2,000 a piece. That's a state initiative. So then we get, then later on, we get Jim Holt writes this article in Signal. And you're going to see where I'm going here in just a little bit. And they've discovered gray water. You know, gray water. It's the stuff that, you know, you wash your hands with or you take a shower with. It's been advertised in a lot of places that if you use the right kind of soap, right kind of laundry detergents, or the right kind of shampoos and so forth, then you can take that water and you can water plants with. Now, they've discovered gray water. See, they're going to tell us this is something new no one's ever thought of before. And it's generated by washing people in their clothes. And it comes from washing machines, sinks, shower stalls, and baths. Well, I'm glad I was told that, right? And they said the system can save 40% of your household water use. Now, that's 40% of the water that goes into your house, not 40% of the water from your water bill. Because remember that we spend about 60, we spend, the numbers are 40 million gallons a day for landscaping, 20 million gallons a day for use inside your house. So you use about twice as much water on landscaping as we do there. So if they say you're going to save 40% of your household water use, they're talking about the water that's going into your house. And it's going to allow you to keep your lawn green and lush. Well, now, wait a minute. If I use 20 million gallons a day to inside my house, and I use 40 million gallons a day on my lawn and landscaping, and I get to reuse 10 million gallons a day, how's that going to keep all the lawns green? And it's not enough water. Oh, well, never mind. This is Jim Holt. We got to be cleaner. We got to be clean. You know what? That's right. We got to be cleaner. We don't want to be like our governors. You know what our governor did? I didn't put that article in here. I laughed when I read it. Did you read the stuff about our governor? He decided he's not going to take a shower until the drought is over. This is real. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. No, it's real. Okay? And I'm glad I don't have to deal with him. So anyway, gray water amounts for nearly half of the water used inside a typical home. But they don't want you to just change your detergents. Oh, no. No, that's not. There's not enough regulation in that. After you put it through a system of filters and ultraviolet treatment, that you can now use it on your lawns. Woo-hoo, there you go. So let's pretend. Let's pretend. Oh, God, we're going to pretend. Let's pretend that a developer had a gray water recycling system that he could sell the homeowner and said, it's only going to cost you $15,000. Now let me think. What's my water bill? See, I'm spending about $50 a month now. If I save half of it, well, I won't save half of it. I'll save a quarter of it. How long will it take me to pay back? No, never mind. Okay. Once that proven, he said, everyone with a gray water recycling system should get a discount on sewer rates for taking 2/3 of the liquid out of the sewer system. So how do you save 40% and then get a 66% rebate? That's why Jim Holt is a newspaper reporter and not a mathematician.
Or a politician.
Huh?
Or a politician.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now here's what's really going to happen. August the 18th, California water prices set to rise. Okay. Residents of California can expect to pay more for water for the rest of the year. This is utilities are the only people I know that can raise the rates if you use more water or raise the rates if you use less water. Right? If you use more water, they raise the rates because they got to put in more infrastructure. If you use less water, you got to pay more because they got to maintain their infrastructure. So it's an amazing business, but we knew that was coming, right? We talked about it before. We knew that was coming. So here's where I'm driving. Public CEO. Anybody that doesn't get that email, you go on the Public CEO website and you can get their newsletters. And the public CEO is a place where you see a lot of articles written by people that manage cities. So pretty much every time I see something on Public CEO, it starts to perturbate around the state, whether it be roundabouts, and they perturbate around the state, or it's whatever it happens to be. So when I see something in here, my ears perk up. And here we have a gentleman. What is that guy's name? Richard Frank. You know, probably most of you don't know this, but before I was adopted, my name was Frank, and I hope like hell this is not one of my relatives. Anyway, this guy has come up with a solution to the water problem. He wants to establish water credits. So you would get, and they're doing this, this is a proposal or something that they're starting to do in the Central Coast. He wants to propose that you get water credits based upon your current use. And then water credits, does this sound familiar? Like carbon credits? Can be traded and bought and sold. So if you want to add a bathroom, you have to have enough water credits to be able to add it. You'll have to go get them from somebody else. I guess that's somebody that's going to take out a bathroom. Now, I don't know how anybody could build a new house if this is true, because there won't be any water credits. Oh, never mind. But anyway, this just sounds like another form of something to give us a headache and to regulate the way we live. I think everybody saw the ads on television about the reduction in gasoline in California over the next 20 years, where there's a bill going through the state legislature, it hasn't passed yet, where they want to reduce the amount of gasoline available in California over the next, 20, 30 years by 50%. Okay? This is just another regulation. And so I don't know what to say, except I'm frustrated. So what's the real problem? lack of leadership. We need people up there that are willing to go get something done. And the real problem is, for water, we haven't created a new water storage project since 1959. We've doubled the population. We're still using the same infrastructure we used before, and that was published by Scott Wilk earlier. And Santa Clarita, even though it's not a state agency, we as a community have the ability to save 30% of our water and recycle it. But we have a lack of water recycling. We currently throw away 20 million gallons a day of water that we have taken in through the sanitation district, which we have treated, and which we just dump in the river. And by the way, I looked at CLWA's latest water plan, and their latest water plan says, oh, well, what we want to do after you get these new reverse osmosis things online is we want to go and pipe some of this water down in the aquifer, in our drinking water. That's their plan. Not one word in their new plan about recycling. So the Tournament Players Club took advantage of non-potable water because New Hall Land was willing to pay for the pipes. And I've heard for years, well, City of Santa Clarita is going to do the same thing at Central Park, but they never did it. They've never invested the money. So the city continues to put in meetings with Purple Pike and brag about it. I heard Lorraine West get up there and say, oh, look, we're doing wonderful things. We're putting purple pipe in the ground. And I guess if it grew, that would be great. But it's not connected to anything that'll work. And CLWA continues to talk about 4 years of bank water, which we don't have to worry about anything about 4 years of bank water, but unfortunately they have no way to get it here. And so since they have no way to get it here, it doesn't make any difference. And so maybe that's why Dan Masnada is retiring, and the head of Valencia Water Company has just quit. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Don't be fooled by political babble. You're going to hear lots of people talk about things that sound like they're talking about something that's going to save us, but it's not. We need some real action, a real good something to happen, not a plan. We got plans. I mean, I didn't bring them to you here, but I went out online. I found plans, back 10 years ago, and everything I talk about is that we're generating a new plan. We don't need plans. We need someone to do something, and we need to pay attention to what's happening. We need to start speaking out at community, water board, city council meetings, and say, guys, even if El Nino comes this winter, which it has a good likelihood of doing, and we got all the water in the world, we got to prepare for the next drought. That doesn't mean that you got to go spend all your money there, but we ought to at least have a plan and over time, because these things take time to get done. And when we're looking at water board elections and council elections, vote for candidates who are looking to support the community's best interest. And the most important thing you can do today is pray for rain. Pray for rain. So, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
For those that may not be aware of it, you mentioned Bouquet Creek earlier, and the Department of Water and Power is committed to make a certain amount given release from the dam. And that's what's happened all these years that's supplied the wells, including the Lombardi Ranch that was put out of business this year. And I asked, well, why aren't they doing that? And they said, well, there were some storms and the creek filled up and the water spilled on the highway, and that was dangerous. Now, I thought maybe some volunteers could get together some weekend with wheelbarrows and some shovels and clean out the ditch and start the water again. That's not happening. Lark Ranch, the big L.A. County ranch, is just north of Vasquez, and they were having to truck water like everyone else. Well, all of a sudden, I've heard there's a solution. They're going to bring a pipe all the way up to Lark Ranch. What does that do for development for the area?
Nothing. No.